And welcome, fellow yarn fanatics. My name is Elizabeth. I am Grey Autumn Rain on Instagram and Ravelry, and this is my knitting podcast, the Grey Autumn Rain Knitting Podcast, and other yarn stuff because I also crochet sometimes. This is my special Yuletide edition, which I'm going to be doing in a bunch of different little segments as I finish stuff up. The first segment is going to be 6 pairs of socks. So today is December 7th. It's a Thursday. And I'm going to talk about a bunch of socks I've been knitting up for my kids. I can't do this in a regular podcast because I want to save it for, after December 25th when they've opened all the presents, because I like surprises. Some of my kids do not. Margaret definitely wants to know ahead of time what she's getting and try and guess it all out. But Duncan and Martin also seem to enjoy being surprised a bit. So you can't please everybody. But I just want to show off all the knitted goodness before I wrap it up and before I give it to the kids and before it gets, worn all over the house, because I fully expect that probably at least one of the pairs of socks that I knit for the holiday will be worn as soon as it's opened. So, I am madly knitting away. I've currently, I didn't bring the paper down. Oh well. I've got 7 accessories knit and 2 garments. And by accessories, I mean pairs of socks. So I've got 7 pairs of socks. I'm close to having a hoe on an 8th pair, and I've started a 9th pair. But I'll just do 2 socks each today for each of the kids, so 6 socks. The garments are sweaters. I've got 2 sweaters finished, and I'm about halfway through the 3rd. I really do have fingering weight sweater disorder. I knit them all in fingering weight because I like it. I like the end product, but it does take a bit longer. So hopefully I should get that 3rd one done because, goodness, you just can't knit, an uneven number of things. When you have 3 kids, every kid's got to have, the same thing, right? They're at that age right now where, if one child gets a sweater, you've got to, the other 2 children also have to get a sweater. If one child gets a pair of socks, the other 2 children also have to get a pair of socks. And when they get a bit older, maybe I won't have to be so regimented about it, but right now, to avoid upset and, understandable upset, everything's going to be even. So that's why 6 pairs of socks this episode, because I've got 3 children, 3 pairs of feet, and 2 socks per set of feet. And I love knitting socks for my kids because they appreciate hand knit socks. I didn't realize just how difficult it is to find good children's socks. And the reason I didn't understand this was because I grew up in socks that were great. And my mom was a knitter, but she didn't knit socks. But she bought all our socks when we were in England. And this makes a bit more sense to me. My dad's English. He's from England. I have family there. And Mom worked for British Airways for like nearly my entire life. And so we got to travel to England for, basically next to no airfare. Of course, we were always flying standby, but, it was a great benefit. It was wonderful. And so all my socks as a child were bought from Marks and Spencer's in England, which has good, high-quality kids' socks, and it's harder to find high-quality commercial kids' socks in the States. So I guess I understand why my kids are so happy about the hand-knit socks, because, they fit well, and they work well, and they don't wear out instantly, and, I can make them whatever colors they want. So my mom always thought that socks weren't really, Christmas present worthy, but hand-knit socks totally are, and my kids actually believe that. So I'm so happy to be giving them socks for Christmas because they appreciate them. They appreciate their hand-knit socks, and they've been actually getting upset when they're out of hand knit socks. There are no clean hand knit socks. So I'm going to attempt over the next year or so to move them all completely to hand knit socks, which is going to be a lot of socks, but I can do it. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. And they'll like them. So the first pair of socks. Let's get to the goods. Enough. You don't want to listen to me. Nobody wants to listen to me. I'm not interesting, but my socks are. All right. This first pair of socks is for Martin. This is the first pair of socks I made as a Christmas present. And these are the ever popular vanilla latte socks by Virginia Rose Jeans. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. This is actually the first time I knit this, but I've now knit a few more pairs out of this pattern, and you'll be seeing another one shortly. But I love this pair of socks. The yarn. When I first started on my current sock knitting craze, I asked each of the children to pick out their favorite colors of Felici, and you've seen those socks in a previous episode. I won't go over those again. So, Martin's favorite was the Sonora Sunset, which is, all 3 different blues and a red and orange and a pink. I'm glad my kids my little boys are secure in their masculinity, and they will wear, a colorway that's got a stripe of pink in it. Well done, kids. But anyway, so I said, pick out your second favorite too, because there were like 10 colors of Felici out at the time. And this was Martin's favorite. It's Steamer Trunk. And I didn't, it wasn't too appealing to me in the ball because it's 6 colors of brown. It's 6 shades of brown. But look how lovely it is knit up with the contrasting red heel and toe. His favorite color is red. Brown is his 3rd favorite color. It's red, blue, brown. But I love the way it looks with the red contrasting heel and toe. And I did this just so that I could make the socks match up perfectly. If I figured that if I knit it with the contrasting heel and toe, then I could make sure that when I went through 2 pattern repeats, I would stop, and then I'd be ready to start the second sock in the same place and make them all match up. And I really like the way they worked up. So, vanilla latte socks in Steamer Trunk, Felici, and Stroll Holly Berry, all knit picks. All the yarn I'm going to be showing now is knit picks because I have 3 kids. And I love indie dyed yarn, but I'm not working currently, and where the budget is, knit picks is value for money. So there you go. It's high quality yarn for the price, and I love it. Anyway, I'm getting my second pair of socks on. This is Martin's second pair of Christmas socks. I'm going to put on my lovely sock blockers here. La 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 la, talk amongst yourselves. All right, there we go. Again, knit picks. Again, the vanilla latte sock for Martin. And Martin's my 5-year-old. If you haven't seen this, a previous podcast of mine, he's 5. He's cute. He's got big feet for a 5-year-old, but that's fine. So these are the vanilla latte socks again in the Heartfelt colorway, which is the Stroll Tonal Heartfelt red. They're just solid red socks. But I love the tonal. Tonals make doing fairly plain socks in a single color worth it because the subtle variations just sell it for me. And Martin will love it because they're red, and that's his favorite color. So I imagine that these will be in heavy rotation. In fact, they might go on his feet Christmas morning. Who knows? All right. So that's Martin's 2 pairs of socks for Martin. So we'll go to Duncan next. All right. Now Duncan is my 7-year-old. He'll be 8 in February, but he's 7 right now, 7.5. And he likes all his socks to be knee socks. They don't all have. He told me they don't all have to be knee socks, but it was pretty clear that, you know, 'cause he realizes it's extra work to do the knee socks. But so he'll get a few pairs that aren't knee socks, but mostly knee socks because that's what he likes. He gets cold. All right, and these are Duncan's. These aren't a specific pattern. This is a 3x1 broken rib pattern. So I'll tell you the pattern right now. I knit 2x2 rib for the cuff, and then I went round and I knit 3 purled 1, 56 stitches by the way. But you know, any multiple of 4 would work. So yeah, knit 3 purl 1 around, and then the next round knit, and knit 3 purl 1 around, and then the next round knit. Blah 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 blah. So it just makes a nice stretchy, not quite vanilla sock because it's got just a little bit of ribbing there to help it stay up. This colorway is again the Felici. This is one of their summer 2017 colors. Sorry, I'll get myself a little comfortable here. This was Duncan's second favorite. His first favorite was the Captain Nemo. His second favorite is this, the Witch's Brew. Again, I'm proud of my boys for being. Duncan's favorite color is currently purple. He's secure in his masculinity. I'm great with that. And this is actually a very manly purple. And that's why I paired it with the contrasting heel, toes, and cuffs. This is the Stroll in the Electric Blue, to sort of pick up on the blue pop of color in the colorway. Yeah, the heel is just a simple slip stitch heel, regular rounded toe. You know, fairly straightforward. I will have one comment on the Felici. Felici is like $5.50 a ball when it's not on sale, and it can be considerably less when it is on sale. It's 50 grams self-striping yarn. I used 2 balls of this. Now I tried, because I was doing the contracting heels, toes, and cuffs. I thought the socks would end up being a perfect match, but they're not. See, this one's perfect. You know, you've started up here with the purple. Yeah, you know, there. Yeah, pretty much three repeats. There's like 5 repeats of the 6 stripe colors in a 50 gram ball of Felici in general. So I figured, this is perfect. You know, I'll start the second ball at the same place and starting pattern, and I'll get identical socks. But no, around about here, there was a mishap. Clearly, there was like a join in the yarn, and one of the stripes was a couple of the stripes were clearly messed up. You can see them here, and then it just picks back up. But I think they're clearly a pair with the contrasting heels, toes, and cuffs. So, you know, I'm not too concerned about it. Like I said, for basically $11 for 100 grams. You know, that's great. You know, you'd pay twice that at least for an indie dyed yarn, and part of what you're paying for with the indie dyers, you know, that they'll have their stripes. You know, you can usually expect a self-striping from an indie dyer to be perfect every time. And like I said, you'd pay at least twice that, quite probably, you know, up to $30 for 100 grams of self-striping from an indie dyer. So, yeah, I'm not going to complain about the wonky stripes on that one ball because, it wasn't that much money. But, you know, if anyone from Knit Picks is listening, if you could like maybe figure out why that happens occasionally, because it's happened more than once, and we'll get into that in a bit. Yeah, but there might not be an easy solution. You know, it might just be a case of stuff happens sometimes, which, you know, stuff happens sometimes. All right, so here's the second pair for Duncan. Stroll Tonal, again, by Knit Picks. Again, just my 3x1 broken rib pattern, 2x2 ribbed cuff, slip stitch heel, rounded toe. This is basically as vanilla a sock as I ever make. Again, knee high for Duncan. The Strotonal color, the colorway here is Raven. Let me see if I can get it up close. It's gorgeous. This was one that Duncan picked out as one of his favorite colors. So it's kind of a black, but with like purple and burgundy and midnight blue highlights. It's gorgeous. And he will love it because he likes dark colors. With these, just these pops of purple and midnight blue it'll be great. I'm very pleased with that. Oh, by the way, the Witch's Brew ones, I forgot to say, I'd originally gotten the Witch's Brew for myself, and then he wanted socks, so I ended up getting an extra bowl. So I will make myself socks out of the Witch's Brew too, but I think I'm probably going to do my contrast heel toes and cuffs in black to sort of differentiate them, make them a bit more witchy. Oh dear. Okay, so I've got 2 more socks to show because I've got another child and 2 socks each. So these will be Margaret's. All right, I'm just getting them on the sock blockers. Pretend I'm being interesting. I'm just too lazy to stop the video and splice it together. All right, here we go. These are for Margaret. It's again Strotonal. This is in the seashell colorway, which is probably not Margaret's preferred pink. They have a high tea, which is a bright pink, which I'm truly going to make her some stuff in. But I like the softer pink, and she likes pink too. So if it's not all the bright pink, I think she'll live. So this is the Snicket Sock by Sabine Wilfler. I think I'm pronouncing that last name right. I'm sorry if I'm not. And it's inspired by Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events, which is a series I read Margaret a couple of years ago and loved. Apparently there was a pattern on Violet's sleeves in the first movie they made, which I have since seen, that inspired the pattern for these socks. It's a lot of little cabling, but I think the effect is worth it. I would not make a whole bunch of these socks, but for a special pair, it's well worth the effect. It's gorgeous and intricate, and I like cabling. And I expect Margaret will like these socks, especially once I tell her that they were inspired by a dress that Violet Baudelaire was wearing, because she definitely identifies with Violet Baudelaire in A Series of Unfortunate Events. We did see that movie, but we saw it after we'd seen the Netflix series that came out last January, and hopefully season 2 of that will come out this January. And I gotta confess, I liked the Netflix series of Unfortunate Events actually slightly better than the books, because Neil Patrick Harris as Count Olaf just really sells it for me. I don't want to give too much away if you haven't read the books or seen the series, but you kind of need someone who can pull off that amount of just slightly over the top to really sell it. So anyway, these are her socks, her first pair of socks, Snicket socks for Margaret, and I think she'll like them. All right, so the next pair for Margaret is going to be in Felici again, because I made everyone pick out their second favorite Felici colorway from the summer 2017 colors. I noticed that the winter ones that just came out, they only had 6 colorways instead of 10. But that's okay. I'll figure something out. I might just get one of the value packs when I purchase them. Anyway, here we go. So this is Cheshire Grin. And this is the Hermione Everyday Sock by All right, I've forgotten who it's by. I'll have to write it down below. But Hermione Everyday Socks. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. If you're not aware of the Hermione Everyday Socks, you are living under a rock and not knitting socks. Because it's one of the most popular patterns, and it's been popular for years. And there's good reason for that. It makes a great sock. It's just enough texture to keep you interested, just enough texture to make a nice squishy sock and still knit up quickly. Yeah, I love it. And again, we had even though I used the seashell for contrasting heels, toes, and cuffs, and I made one perfect sock, so you can see the color at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then another repeat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 5 color repeats in a ball of Felici, a 50-gram ball of Felici. And if you do contrasting heel, toes, and cuffs, you can cut it off at the 2, when you've done 2 color repeats, and then you'll have a full 2 for the next sock. Except when you don't, because what happens is you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then there's some crazy join where this teal was cut off, and bizarrely, and it goes. I don't know what happened here, but they clearly lost half of the skein or something. But anyway, it's still clearly a pair of socks. This was a I might have even gotten this ball of Felici. No, I didn't get this ball of Felici on sale. No, it was $5.50 for self-striping yarn. 75% merino, 25% nylon. It was value for money. This is the Cheshire Green colorway, and it's the Felici, and the contrasting heel toes and stuff are the heel toes and cuff are the stroll tonal in the seashell. So that's it for this little snippet. I'm planning on coming back after I've gotten my 3rd sweater or another 3 pairs of socks or whatever knit up and do another set. So hopefully there'll be more to this episode. And I'm hoping you all had as good a holiday as I expect my kids will have had by the time they open these. All right. See you later. Hello, and I'm back at the end of last podcast segment that I did earlier this month. I told you I would be back when I'd finished either the 3rd sweater or another set of 3 socks, and I've done a bit more than that. I've actually done both. The last sweater finally dried after blocking today, and I finished up a 3rd pair of socks just earlier, just about an hour ago. So here I am in a different gray sweater. Don't ask how many gray sweaters I own. I own a lot of gray sweaters, but gray sweaters are great. And this one's old. This one's ancient, but I did make it myself. All right, so I've brought the paper down this time. I have done 10 accessories and 3 garments. 3 garments are the 3 sweaters. 10 accessories are all pairs of socks. I've hopefully, because I have to do everything in sets of 3 for the 3 kids, I've got another 2 pairs of socks that I'm aiming to get completed before the big day. Today's December 20th. Did I mention that? Today's Wednesday, December 20th. I'm insane. I've got to do 2 pairs of socks, and I don't have half done pairs of socks. I've cast on 1. It's cast on. It's got 3 rounds of knitting done on it. So I've got to knit my little fingers off if I want everyone to have that 4th pair of socks. And I might knit something for my husband too, but I don't knit him garments or socks or anything because he's super picky. He knows what he wants. He knows exactly what he wants, and he'll get it for himself. And that's fine because he likes my crochet. So I've made him a few Afghans. I'll certainly make him more in the future. And as long as he likes something I make, I'm happy with that. All right. So this is going to be a bit boring because all 3 sweaters are the same sweater. in different colors. So I'm gonna start the sweaters in the order I knit them. And this one is Duncan's. Let's hold it up to the the pattern is Flax Light by Tin Can Knits. Yeah, I do have fingering weight sweater disorder. I knit 3 fingering weight sweaters for my not very small anymore children. I guess they're still kind of small, but yeah, I knit the largest child size for both Margaret and Duncan, and the next largest child size for Martin, because I want these to fit for more than a year or two. I'd like them to fit for 3 or 4 years, hopefully. Anyway, this yarn is Knit Picks Hawthorn Speckle, and this is the Jupiter colorway I picked for Duncan. When I started this sweater and I bought the yarn, he was claiming his favorite color was orange, though I knew he liked purple too. Now he's claiming purple is his favorite color and orange is down to 4th favorite. But luckily, with the purple and orange speckles in it, we can, he'll probably still enjoy it. I made some modifications to all the sweaters. Because I'm terrible and I always modify patterns. Let's see. Bring this in a little closer here so we're not so much in the light. I made this little braid down the sides under the underarms. My kids are skinny, lucky things, and I wanted to just bring it in a little bit and give the sweater the kind of structure that seams would give it. I used to make seam sweaters. This is a seam sweater that I'm wearing. But once Ravelry was really up and running and top-down sweater patterns were popularized, I was like, why don't I just make everything top-down? Because it's easier. But I do miss the kind of structure a seam will give you. So I add cables to give it the same kind of structure. And instead of doing the garter panel on the sleeve, let's see if I can show this. I'm trying to have good light for colors, but the glare is a little bit. There we go. I did this cable down the top of the sleeve in place of the garter panel. And yeah, this is just a freehand cable that I did. Just 2 things going back and forth. Yeah, it's inspired by some of the stuff in the Elspeth Levold Viking Knits books that I have from way back when, which I love. But yeah, it's inspired by some of those cables. So that's down the top of the sleeves. And I've made the same modifications on each sweater. They've got the underarm braid and the cable down the top. So they have 3 sweaters that are kind of matchy, but not exactly the same, not matchy-matchy. So I'll do Martin's next, since that's the next one I knit. Okay. And this is Martin's. And I get exactly the same pattern, slightly smaller size, but it's still, I knit it big because children grow bigger, not smaller. And this is, again, Hawthorn Speckle, but this is the confetti colorway. His favorite color is red, his second favorite color is blue. And this had both red and blue speckles in it, and yellow. Actually, there seem to be more yellow speckles than anything else. So I'm trying to use the daylight for light, but I don't want it to glare too much. There we go. But it makes a nice, mostly white sweater, actually. But the speckles give it some nice interest. All right, and the third one is Margaret's. This one's very pink. This is, again, Hawthorn Speckle, but this is the Andromeda colorway, and this is very, very pink. In fact, when I soaked this, the pink bled a little, but, pinks and reds will do that. It's not necessarily a problem with the yarn. Pinks and reds just tend to bleed a bit more. And it's a very nice pink, with little cobalt blue flecks in it. Again, the same flax light pattern, same modifications. The cable on the arms, and a little braided cable down the underarms. There we go. So yeah, I knit 3 of the same fingering weight sweater because I'm completely crazy. Yes, I am completely crazy. I did that. And I will knit more fingering weight sweaters because while they are a ton of work, they are really lovely to have. And I imagine my kids will be using these as layers. We live in Somerville, Mass, which is just right next to Boston. It gets cold here, and layers are a good thing to have because a lot of the buildings are a little, shall we say, unevenly heated. So you've got hot spots and cold spots, and thin little layers of fingering weight sweaters are a good thing to have in your wardrobe. Alrighty. And I also did three more pairs of socks. Start with Margaret's. These are the ones I just finished up. In the previous segment, which I just watched so that have it fresh in my mind, I told you that the seashell pink that I made her, let's see, that I made her her previous her snicket socks out of. I'm trying to get it without being. There we go. This probably the seashell pink was nice, but not her absolute favorite pink. This is the high tea Stroll-Tonal colorway. This would be her favorite pink. I'm absolutely certain of it. Not that she won't like the seashell. She'll love the seashell as well. But she's really into the bright, pinks. The brighter, the better. And this is a pair of Hermione Everyday socks. Again, this is at least the third pair I've done her, I think. But she has recently told me explicitly that the Hermione Everyday socks is her favorite pattern. And that was before she knew I'd knit her another 2 pairs of it. So, yeah, I'm pleased because it makes an excellent sock. And I said I can't remember off the top of my head, and I should have looked it up. But I will put the designer of that pattern underneath because that's great. All right, now onto a pair for Martin. I'll do the Martin's pair next. It's another Stroll-Tonal. But I knit him the last time I showed you the steamer trunk ones and the heartfelt red ones. Well, these are another rendition of the Vanilla Latte socks. I've decided that Vanilla Latte is just going to be my default pattern for Martin. And these are in the Blue Yonder, Knit Pick Stroll-Tonal Blue Yonder colorway. And I love this blue, and blue is Martin's second favorite color. And I figured I couldn't have him wearing all red socks, so he's got a red pair, a blue pair, and a brown pair. And that should make him happy. Anyway, I love this, and because Martin likes, he's the smallest one, he's 5, though he does have big feet for a 5-year-old. Because I used less than half a skein of this, I knew I'd have a fair amount of the Stroll-Tonal, because it comes in 100-gram skeins, left over for another pair. So you will recall I told you that Duncan really likes knee socks. He gets cold. He gets cold much more easily than anyone else in the family, and so he, knee socks are something he appreciates. So I made him a pair of knee socks. Now the thing is, his favorite colorway from the Summer of Felici patterns was the Captain Nemo. And I only had 1 ball of the Captain Nemo left, and you can't get it anymore. And I really wanted to use that 1 ball to make him socks. And, I could have made him a pair of, shorter socks with doing contrasting heels, toes, and cuffs. But it occurred to me that there was a way I could stretch out that 1 ball of Captain Nemo into a pair of knee socks for him. And that was by doing the broken seed stitch pattern, and this is what I did, and I love these. This has got to be my favorite pair of socks that I've knit to date. This is the broken seed stitch pattern. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, and I used for my main color. They show it with a solid and a variegated, and the solid is the main color, and the variegated is the contrast. Here I use the Stroll tonal, a tonal color, Stroll tonal, in Blue Yonder for the main color, which you see up here at the cuffs um, and the heels. And I use the Captain Nemo for the contrast color. And I just love the way the two play together, even though, of course, you don't necessarily see that you're using two separate colors of yarn here, because it's blue on blue in these blue stripes here. But I just love the way it came together with the tonal and the Felici self-striping. I cannot say enough good things about how fun these socks were to knit. And I will be doing more of these. I will almost certainly be doing more of these. Now, they were a fair amount of work because, seed stitch, even broken seed stitch, for knee-length socks. It's a bit more work, but, I mean, seriously, look at, and they match up exactly, because I did, two repeats of the stripe per sock, but because I was breaking it up with the seed stitch, the stripes are all fatter, and 2 repeats was plenty. So there we go. And so now each kid is going to get a sweater and 3 pairs of socks. And I have a 4th pair of socks made for Margaret. And I'm hoping to get a 4th pair of socks made for each of the boys. But, today's the 20th, so it's getting down to the wire. They'll be home from school soon. I need to go pick them up from school, actually. In about an hour, I need to leave and pick them up from school. So I might not get it done. I might be frantically knitting through the night. I don't know, but I want them to each have another pair of socks to open, because these are the evergreen socks that you'll have seen on Ravelry, and they'll be in slightly different tones of green. But I'd really like them to have, actual Christmas themed socks for the holidays. Especially, and Margaret especially wants a sock, at least one present to arrive underneath the tree in her room. The kids each have there's a long, complex story which I won't bore you with. But they have these tiny little tinsel trees in their room, and they each have one. Margaret's got one in her room, and the boys each have one in their rooms. Margaret's got a pink tinsel tree, of course, and Duncan's is white and Martin's is red. And of course, what I do for Margaret, who's the one who's insisting that at least one of the presents should be under her tree in her room, I've got to do for the boys. So I was thinking that if I can manage it, if I can get it done on time, I would really like to have their Christmas themed socks under their individual trees in their rooms, and then they can open that before we do the mass present opening with everyone present. And then so theoretically they could do that before they get dressed, and then they could get dressed and come downstairs and have breakfast. I make them have breakfast before we open presents, and I make them get dressed. So they can do they can get dressed in their new Christmas themed socks if they so desire. But yeah, I've got like three rows of one sock done, and I've got 4 socks, 2 pairs still to go on that. So wish me luck, folks. Well, and I guess it's too. By the time you see this video, it will be too late to wish me luck. But I guess you will see in a few minutes whether I manage to get that done or not. I better go knit. So, hello again. I really have to apologize for the less than ideal lighting and location, but I am shut in my little craft room. It's Sunday, December 24th. It's just past 7, and I've just finally finished kitchenering up last toe of a pair of socks for Christmas. So I've got 3 more pairs of socks to show you, one for each child, and these are going to be their special little presents for under their personal trees. They've each got they talked me into getting these little tinsel trees, or Margaret talked me into getting these tinsel trees for them at Target a few years ago. And now they each have one in their room, and now she wants a present under them, and so I'm a terrible mother. I cave in. What can I say? I love them so much. So they've each gotten a little one last pair of socks that'll be their special Christmas socks, and I'm just gonna put them under the individual tinsel trees in their rooms. The boys share a bedroom, but they've got one tree each. Anyway, here's the first pair I made. These are Margaret's. And these are the evergreen socks that are all the way rage on Ravelry this Christmas season. And since I'm making them for my kids, I actually modified it for a 56 stitch count instead of a 64 or 72, which is what it comes in. I just took off the pattern has like 4 of these sets of branches, and I just took off the lowest, widest set of branches and did the chart over 14 stitches instead of 16 for the medium. Then voila! These are in the evergreen Strolltonal that I used on my hedgerow socks and my Find Your Fade. When I started the evergreen socks, Margaret's was like, "Oh, are those for me? I like that color." Oops, terrible shadows on my face. That's okay though. And they weren't, but there was just enough left over to make this pair of socks, and you notice I've made rather large toes out of the white stroll and heels, and I did this little band to sort of suggest that the Christmas trees were sitting in the snow, or at least that's what I hoped the effect would be. Speaking of snow, one of the reasons why I'm so late getting the last pair of socks done is we had a power outage yesterday. So there I was knitting, and suddenly there was a bang outside, and the lights went out. But we've been getting freezing rain on top of snow, and it's not enough snow to really count as a proper white Christmas, but it still looks Christmas-ish when you look out the window. So our power was out from just before 3 p.m. last night until just after 8 a.m. this morning, and it messed up no end of things. Anyway, this is the second pair of socks. These are Duncan's. Again, this is the Strolltonal. This is the Canopy color. The other one was the Evergreen. Did I say that? I don't know. But this is the Strolltonal in the Canopy. Again, left over from my Find Your Fade shawl, which was 7 shades of green. With the white cuffs, heels, and toes. Again, on a 56 stitch count, same modifications. But Duncan has decided that his third favorite color is sort of an emerald green, and this was the closest to emerald. So, since he listed green as in his top 3, he got the greenest of the greens on the socks. And obviously I had a fair amount of green stroll left over from that Find Your Fade. And I am obsessive about using up every last yard of everything because I'm weird that way. Alright, and the pair I just finished, and no, I haven't blocked it. Did weave in my ends, though. I always weave in my ends. That's my OCD won't let me leave ends dangling. But they're not blocked, and Martin's not going to care, and neither will I. He'll wear them tomorrow, and then they'll get washed, and then they'll get blocked. So anyway, this is Martin's, and again, the green is Strolltonal in the Matcha colorway, again, left over from my Find Your Fade shawl. The red heels, I did red heels on Martin's to make it a bit more Christmassy, since that was, this green was the lightest, most yellowish green. That's the Heartfelt Strolltonal, the leftover from his vanilla latte socks that you will have seen in a previous segment of this, Christmassy Yuletide podcast that I'm putting together And again, the white heels and toes to match the other kids. This is just a plain stroll. So yeah, that's it. 3 pairs of socks. And I'm done. I just need to wrap them up and stash them somewhere and then stick them under the tree after the kids go to sleep. And here's my grand total. As you know, everything divisible by 3 because I've got 3 kids. So 12 accessories, i.e. 12 pairs of socks, and 3 garments, which were the 3 Flaxlight sweaters. Yes, and I know I'm finishing up at the 11th hour. Well, not quite the 11th hour, but still, I'm finishing up, after 7 p.m. on Christmas Eve. But to be honest, if I'd had another day, I'd have made 3 hats. And if I'd had another week, I'd have made 3 more pairs of socks. And if I'd had another 2 weeks, I'd have attempted to make 3 more garments or something. Because that's the way my insanity runs. I love knitting for my kids. I'm a really selfish knitter, actually. I always used to make everything for myself, and the occasional gift. But I consider knitting for my kids my new selfish knitting, because my kids are more important to me than me, and that's the way it should be. At least that's the way I think it should be. Though I still do occasionally make things for myself. So anyway, hopefully I'll get this put together and edited sometime tomorrow after the kids have opened everything. And I hope that you had as good a holiday as I imagine I'm going to have. Whatever holiday you happen to celebrate. And I wish all of you the very best. And I hope you liked this special, slightly different, all the FOs and nothing else holiday episode. Bye. Thanks for watching.